The federal government is flagging the use of rarely used quarantining laws to control a coronavirus outbreak in Australia. Legislation was passed in 2015 as the nation faced a debate over the growing threat of bioterrorism. But now it could be used to detain people infected with COVID-19 or even force them to undergo treatment. Political reporter Dan Conifer joins us now from Canberra. So Dan, how likely is it that people will be detained?
Well, Ros, the government is talking about using that specific power as a last resort if people disobey a control order that is placed upon them that says that they must stay at home for a period of time until they're free of coronavirus, for example. But this law is pretty wide-ranging and could be used to cover a wide range of things. And the Attorney-General, Christian Porter, says in all likelihood the first thing that people will see will be changes in the way people go in and out of hospitals, for example, so that patients receive more questions about who they've seen, where they've been, and whether they've been in contact with anybody that's presenting with symptoms consistent with the coronavirus on their way into hospitals, and then decontamination, particularly of medical staff on the way out of medical facilities. But people could be prevented from going to sporting events or shopping malls, or in more extreme cases, those events and those places could be shut down by the government. Christian Porter says that if this law, if used, the government will try to use it in the way that causes the least amount of disruption to people's lives. But they're likely to be used, and it's likely to be something that most Australians haven't seen before.
It's very likely that these laws will get used on a larger scale, and it's very likely that Australians will encounter practices and instructions and circumstances that they've not had to encounter before.
So Dan, have these laws ever been used before?
They're used pretty rarely, Ros, but they have already been used during this coronavirus outbreak in regards to those Australians that were on the Diamond Princess cruise ship docked at Yokohama there in Japan to manage the return of that cohort to Australia. But it is a biosecurity act. It replaced an old quarantine act that was about 100 years old and is used on passengers and even cabin crew and staff coming to Australia on flights and vessels from time to time. But the government certainly flagging that its use here will be much more widespread potentially than what's been seen before, as the federal government looks to work with state and territory governments to control an outbreak that they are preparing for here in Australia, Ros.
OK, Dan, thank you.